Hi, so today we're going to talk about no. Hi, so today we're going to talk about do I miss Ireland? Now, moving from Ireland to the Netherlands has been a wild ride. There's been a lot going on, and I haven't really had the chance to think about my home country. Now, I did visit at Christmas time, and it was a very pleasant experience apart from being ill. I finally have sat down and realised that I don't really miss my country to a certain extent. I don't miss the seasonal job of working in the summer, because that job was hell. Yeah, you pushed yourself so hard to work for such a little amount of money, and you worked really long hours, and it was physically destroying. And I honestly don't miss that, because now I am much more relaxed. My job is much more chill. I can take my time. I can take as long as I want, because one job only pays per order, and if I want to make 4 orders an hour, sure, I can do that. I can push myself. But if I just want to do 2 orders an hour, I can also do that. It's not necessary for me to push myself. And I see there's a running theme with Dutch people and work is you do your job, but you don't push yourself to the edge. You just do what you need to do, don't push yourself, everything will be fine. And I like that, I really do like that. And I definitely don't miss the tourists. You see, summer in my hometown was always so busy, and being an intense introvert, I found that big crowds are not my thing. They would cause me a lot of anxiety, and it's a lot of information for my brain to take in. And I would often get overwhelmed by the crowds and the people and the noises and the events going on and the buskers and all. It was a lot. It's just a little too much for me, and that's why I often would run to the hills. Quite literally, I would run into the forest. Well, not run. I would hike often, and I would try and get away from people, but because it's summer, everyone's hiking, everyone's up in the mountain. You can't get a quiet place in my town in the summer. It's just too intense. Early to mid-spring, you're perfectly fine. Mid to late autumn, you're perfectly fine. But that kind of like late spring to early autumn, that whole section is just a no-go. It is way too busy of a town. I do not miss that. Another thing I don't miss is the boredom. You see, you'd work for like 4 to 5 months a year, really intensely, so maybe 6 if you're lucky. You would bust yourself, and then the whole of the winter, you basically hibernated. You saved your money that you make, because there's very few jobs in the winter time, and you basically just sit there. It wasn't sustainable for me to have a job there. I found that if I wanted to move out, I would have to move to the city, because it would be much more regular work. Probably would have been a bit more relaxed and regular, but I just didn't feel it. It just didn't feel right for me. Another thing I don't miss is the lack of opportunities. You see, I am an entry-level worker. I either cook or I clean. Those are the things that I am qualified to do. Only through experience am I qualified. I have no education that goes towards those kind of things, and that's it. Now, I wanted to become a barista. Like, that's my dream job. I know it's not really setting the bar high, but it's a job I really want to do. But you need to be you have experience in making coffee to be a barista. And no one would teach me, no one would give me the qualifications I needed, and no one would hire me to allow me to learn to become a barista. That was the deal breaker at that point, really. Like, it just didn't feel right. It just didn't work out. So that's one thing I really don't miss, is the lack of opportunity to progress in education and through my career. But just because I don't miss all these things doesn't mean I don't miss anything. I obviously have things I miss. I miss my family. Obviously I miss my family. I miss my parents, my grandparents. I miss hanging out with them and just, enjoying their company. Especially in the last couple of years, I have learned the value of family and the value of that connection. And then there's the obvious things I miss. The mountains. I miss the forest, the mountains. I do miss the beach as well, not as much, but the forest and the mountains, those things I miss. I just decided to move to the one of the flattest countries in Europe. Don't ask me why. So, being a person who lived literally at the foot of the tallest mountain in Northern Ireland, which is Slieve Donard, and it had a forest, it was beautiful, it had a reservoir in the mountain range. As a natural aspect, it was stunning. And I do miss that. I now live in a city. The closest thing to nature that I have near me is a park. So I do miss a few things. That is definitely a thing. And because I don't have mountains and forest and waterfalls and rivers and beaches and all this stuff, I can't really do landscape photography anymore. Well, I can. It's just not the same. I can kind of take landscape photography of fields, maybe make a false kind of like forest look from one in the park and make it look like it's just a forest. But that's pretty much it when it comes to landscape photography. I guess I might as well answer the big question. Do I miss my country enough to go back? I say no. Not because it's just life is easier here, because it's far more laid back. That's not necessarily the case. It's actually getting settled and getting into a rhythm has been one of the most difficult things in my life, and of course it's going to be. But I just feel I can grow far more here and far faster here than I can in Ireland. Now, that doesn't say that I'm going to stay here forever, because it is something I do think about sometimes. But at the moment, whether it be a year or 5 years or 10 years or 20, I don't know yet, I may move back. Or move to a different country entirely. I'm not entirely sure where else I would move, but I don't think at the moment that I would move back. Now again, if you ask that in 10 years' time, that may change, but at this very moment in time, I'm feeling that I wouldn't move back right now, even after feeling super homesick because I wasn't really feeling, in the best of mood last week. But I don't think that it would be enough to make me move back. Unless I became completely and financially wrecked and I had to move back to live with my parents, then okay, yeah, I think that would pretty much be the only reason right now that would force me to go back. Yeah, I think that's everything I need to talk about. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one.